Hello dear students, welcome to the lecture series for the topic phase rule. This is the first lecture of the series. The phase rule was given by J. W. Gibbs, an American scientist in 1874. The phase rule is able to predict the conditions needed to specify a heterogeneous system to exhibit equilibrium. I repeat, the phase rule is able to predict the conditions needed to specify a heterogeneous system to exhibit equilibrium. Heterogeneous system stands for the system containing two or more phases. With the help of phase diagram, the phase rule is able to predict effect of changing temperature, pressure, or concentration on a heterogeneous system in equilibrium. Let's understand the Gibbs phase rule. The Gibbs phase rule states that if a heterogeneous system is influenced by temperature, pressure, and concentration, then the sum of number of phases P and the degree of freedom F is greater than the number of components C by 2. It is mathematically expressed as P plus F is equal to C plus 2, or F is equal to C minus P plus 2, where F stands for number of degrees of freedom, C stands for number of components, P stands for number of phases of the system. The Gibbs phase rule provides a general relationship among the degree of freedom of a system F, the number of phases P, and the number of components C. Let's now understand the terms phase, components, and degree of freedom. First, let's start with phase. A phase is defined as part of a heterogeneous system which consists of two or more homogeneous parts which are separated from each other by a definite boundary. Let's try to understand taking few examples. Let us suppose a system having only liquid water. It will constitute single phase, and a system containing water and water vapor will constitute two-phase system. That is, one would be liquid and the other gas. In the similar manner, a system containing liquid water, water vapor, and solid will constitute a three-phase system, that is, solid, liquid, and vapor. Liquid may or may not form a single phase. For example, water and alcohol, as they are miscible, they constitute one phase. But oil and water constitute two phase, as they are not mixed with each other. A homogeneous solid solution of salt constitutes a single phase. Now let us move to the next term, that is component. The component of a system in equilibrium is defined as the minimum number of independently variable constituents chosen by means of which the composition of any phase of the system can be expressed either directly or in the form of a chemical equation. In other words, the term component refers to the chemical constituent present in the system, in the homogeneous system more specifically. Let's understand this term component with the help of few examples. Let's consider a system of ice in equilibrium with water in equilibrium with vapor. At the freezing point of water, the three phases, that is solid, liquid, and gas, are in equilibrium. And since the chemical composition of all the phase is water, hence it is a one component system. That is, water is in solid form, it is ice. In liquid, it is water. And in gaseous phase, it is vapor. In the similar manner, at the boiling point of water, the liquid and vapor are in equilibrium. So again, it is a single or one component system. Let's see some examples of two component system. Solution of sugar or salt in water constitute a two component system. That is, one component is water and the other would be sugar or salt. In the similar manner, consider the decomposition of calcium chloride into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. In this, the composition of any phase can be expressed in terms of at least any two of the independently variable constituents, that is CaCO3, CaO and CO2, thus making it a two component system. The same is expressed in the following slide. After getting the basic understanding of phase and components, let's now understand the degree of freedom which is expressed by F. It is also known as the degree of variance. It is defined as the minimum number of independently variable factors such as temperature, pressure, and concentration of the components, which must be arbitrarily fixed in order to define the system completely. It is calculated by substituting the values of number of phases and components in the formula F is equal to C minus P plus 2. When a system is having no degree of freedom, it is called non-variant or invariant. If the value of F comes to 1, the system is said to be univariant or monovariant. In the similar manner, when the value of F is equal to 2, the system is considered to be bivariant and so on. Let's understand one by one. For example, in the system where ice, water and vapor are in equilibrium, the three phases coexist at the freezing point of water. As the freezing temperature of water has a fixed value, the vapor pressure of the water also have a definite value. That means the temperature and pressure are already fixed. The system is completely defined automatically and there is no need to specify any variable. Hence, the system has no degree of freedom and the value of F comes to 0. Let's understand the condition where the value of F is equal to 1. When the value of F is equal to 1, the system is said to be univariant or monovariant. For example, a system of two phases, water in equilibrium with its vapor. In this type of system, where water is in equilibrium with the vapor pressure of water will have one fixed value at a given temperature. Thus, if the temperature is arbitrarily fixed, the pressure is automatically determined and vice versa. So, the system will have degree of freedom equal to 1 and the system will be said as monovariant or univariant. When the degree of freedom is 2, that is, the value of F is equal to 2, the system is said to be bivariant. For example, a gas or vapor may be completely defined by fixing the two variables, that is, pressure and temperature or pressure and volume, because The third variable may be calculated from the equation PV is equal to RT and will have certain definite value where R is constant. Hence, the degree of freedom will be equal to 2. In the similar manner, when the degree of freedom is 3, that is, the value of F is equal to 3, the system is said to be trivariant. Consider a gaseous mixture of two gases, for example, carbon dioxide and nitrogen in equilibrium. To define this system, three variables are required, that is, composition, which stands 35% CO2 and 65% nitrogen. Next is temperature, which is 40 degrees Celsius. And the third is pressure, which is 760 mm. Hence, the system is said to be trivariant. Now let's see few advantages and disadvantages of Gibbs phase rule. Coming to the advantages of phase rule. The phase rule gives a simple method of classifying equilibrium states of the heterogeneous system. It is applicable to physical as well as chemical phase reactions. Phase rule predicts the behavior of the system when subjected to changes in the variables such as pressure, temperature, and volume. Phase rule confirms that the different systems having the same number of degree of freedom behaves in the same way. The phase rule is applicable to macroscopic systems. It also helps in deciding whether, under a given set of conditions, the various substances would exist together in equilibrium, or some of the substances present would be interconverted, or some of the substances present would be eliminated. Phase rule also suffers from some limitations, like it is applicable to heterogeneous system in equilibrium. It is therefore irrelevant for such systems which are slow in reaching their equilibrium state. In phase rule, various variables are temperature, pressure, and composition. It does not consider electric and magnetic influences. All the phases in the system must be present in the same pressure, temperature, and gravitational force. No liquid or solid phase should be finely divided. Otherwise, their vapor pressure will change their normal values. Now let us understand few applications of phase rule. Phase rule helps to understand the properties of materials in a heterogeneous equilibrium system. The study of low melting eutectic alloys, which are used in soldering, can be carried out by using phase diagrams. It is possible to predict from phase diagram whether an eutectic alloy or solid solution is formed on cooling a homogeneous liquid mixture of two metals. The technique is also used in foodstuff industry and pharma industries. Now let's see some conclusions from phase rule equation. For a system having a specified number of components, the greater the number of phases, the lesser is the degree of freedom. Let's understand the same by few examples. When the system consists of only one phase, we have the value of C is 1 and P is equal to 1. On substituting the value of C1 and P1 to the phase rule, that is F is equal to C minus P plus 2, we get the value of F is equal to 2 and the system is bivariant. In the similar manner, when the system consists of two phases in equilibrium, we have C is equal to 1 and P is equal to 2. On substituting the values, we get the value of F is equal to 1 and the system is monovariant. In the similar manner, when the value of C is 1 and P is 3, we get the value of F is equal to 0. Thus, for a system having a given number of phases, the larger the number of components, the greater will be the number of degrees of freedom of the system. So, dear students, here we wind up the first lecture of the series. In the next lecture, we will try to understand the phase rule of one component system, taking the example of water, and the two component system, taking the example of copper and silver. Thank you.